Oh, scummy, why are you an asshole? I think I might have said this like once or twice before, I don't know. Oh, scummy, why are you wasted every day, every single moment, every hour that you're away? I only wish that I had the chance to get it on with Pam Anderson before she lived like my spirit animal. Danny DeVito, he is my hero, and I'm sorry that I got distracted from what the song's about. Oh, scummy, why are you such a piece of shit? Okay, maybe you're not a piece of shit, and I'm just jealous. I only wish that I had the chance to get it on with Pam Anderson before she lived like my spirit animal. Danny DeVito. We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, we have got a glorious panel here to break down the shit talk and get into the shenaniganry that we have fallen down the pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. First and foremost, though, before we get into all the fun and fuckery, how the hell you gentlemen doing this evening?
Much better compared to last week, because last week's card was shit, and so here we are.
Right.
I feel the fucking same. I feel much better about these fights that we're getting this weekend, and much better myself. I don't think I'm gonna be passing out in the middle of no podcast this week.
Fingers crossed, baby. Fingers crossed. Because this is a pay-per-view card, boys and girls. This is International Fight Week for the UFC, and you know what that means. When we get towards the back end of the show, we wrap up pay-per-view cards with a very special thing we haven't had in a couple of weeks now, because they've been giving us hangover card after hangover card after fucking hangover card. But this evening, boys and girls, tasty goodness back on the plate. We'll see you all on the back end for that fun. But before we get there, first and foremost, the way we like to open things up around here, a little news and recent events. We are not doing recap shows. It just doesn't prove to be worth it these days of the way the algorithm works. We've got YouTube Shorts. If any cool shit happens, it gets thrown up on the youtube.com/I'm No Joe Shorts tab, live in the moment. So you can check that at the end of Saturday evening, throughout the course of Saturday evening, Sunday morning for a full recap, however you need to do it. I accidentally forgot the Benoit Saint Denis one. It just went up yesterday. Shoot me. There's always fun stuff up there. It's always the coolest things that happen, in my opinion, over the course of the weekend. That being said, this week's news starts us off tying into this week's card. Unfortunately, try though they might to stack this card, they still have had last minute fuckery, because there is no such thing as a foolproof matchup. We have had not one but two of, in my opinion, the biggest matchups on this card already shaken up within the last couple days. First and foremost, Sean Brady has a fucking nasty staph infection in his elbow that has got his whole shit all kinds of swollen up. You can see he's posted pictures and videos of it on Instagram. This is no, last minute bullshit excuse. Brady's in the hospital right now. That man's in some serious fucking condition. So obviously we hope he pulls through and is okay on that. In the meanwhile, this was a week out from the fucking pay-per-view event, and luckily they found a last-minute replacement in Josiah Harrell, who was able to step in on 1 week's notice to take on Jack Della Magdalena this Saturday evening. We'll talk more about that match, I'm sure, later on this evening. But the other one, the real talk about cheddar bobbing the fucking UFC's highlight of this card. They hadn't stalled him out long enough to make it look stupid, and then the inevitable happens. Trayshawn Gore gets injured and has to pull out on just 4 days' notice for the fight this Saturday. Luckily, the UFC was able to pull a rabbit with two hands directly out of their ass for Bo Nickel in the form of Val Woodburn, stepping in to make his UFC debut. Was originally scheduled to make a Contender Series appearance, but given the circumstances, he seems to have pulled the lucky lottery ticket for this one and makes his debut this weekend against Bo Nickel. We'll talk more about that match, I am certain, later on this afternoon. That being said, I'm not sure what is more concerning / interesting about this one single announcement. Either that Mark Zuckerberg has launched a new social media platform directly to compete with what Elon Musk has turned Twitter into, that they are calling Threads, which fuck all the way off, or that one of the biggest promotions that this new platform received right out of the fucking gate was none other than the style bender himself, Israel Adesanya, play fighting with John Jones, the heavyweight, seemingly goofing around, slap fighting a little bit, kickboxing, shadow fighting a little bit, hugging and wrestling. And then John Jones puts out a fucking tweet talking about how it's time that they put the beef aside and squash things and act like grown men and move on, that there's nothing but respect now. And it very much feels like John laying groundwork for a tirade to come in the future because John Jones, but I don't know, the whole thing just had a weird fucking feeling to it, in my opinion. It is something that will be talked about and should be talked about, but it felt a little off. That being said, we did get a couple of fight announcements this week, not a whole lot and not the most interesting, but the ones we got were very interesting. The first one that needs mentioning here, September 16th, the infamous Mexican Independence Day UFC Fight Night at the T-Mobile Arena, where Alexa Grasso will be defending her title now against Valentina Shevchenko, aiming to take back the belt that was formerly hers. Tracy Cortez versus Jasmine Jasudavicius has now officially been added to that T-Mobile Arena Fight Night card. Had a feeling there was a lot of rumors, not the original opponent I had heard that Tracy Cortez was originally matched up with, but this should turn out to be an interesting fight nonetheless, and both of these ladies, in my opinion, could really use a big victory like could be provided in that T-Mobile Arena on that card. So we will see how that one shakes out as we get a little closer to that one. The other big fight announcement here, September 30th in Las Vegas, undetermined the specific location as of right now. Canelo is officially stepping back into the squared circle to take on not Jermall, the original scheduled opponent, but his twin brother, also world accredited boxing champion Jermell Charlo, in a boxing match this September. Very interesting situation there with the two brothers. Jermall decided that he does still want to fight Canelo down the road, but given the date that Canelo apparently came in, hard date on September 30th, no later than, Jermall feels like he needs more time to prepare for that. Jermell, on the other hand, was already in training camp for a fight that had just recently fallen out and agreed to step in his twin brother's place. As if that isn't crazy enough, this proves to be as interesting, if not more so, of an interesting matchup, in my opinion, and the kind of weird, cool shit that boxing needs right now to breathe some fucking lifeblood back into it. So we will see how the press and the shit talking between those three potentially gets as we get a little closer to September, because I'm sure it's going to heat up. We got a couple of very interesting news pieces here. The first one, Barry Bonds just cannot seem to keep himself out of the headlines lately, but for once, for good reasons, thankfully. This latest one, in my opinion, probably one of the best pieces of news with his name attached to it to run across the headlines in recent years. Barry Bonds has officially been given his blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in his sweet hometown of San Francisco, adopted hometown rather, of San Francisco. Very cool to see Barry Bonds taking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu very seriously. His coaches and his training partners say that this is absolutely something that he is destined to do and should have probably gotten into a long time ago. He seems like a natural to it. He's a big dude, but he doesn't necessarily impose himself the ways that jiu-jitsu allows you to use size without being so upfront about it is very cool, and it seems like he's got a knack for it. So very fucking cool in my opinion. Nice to see Barry out and at it. Especially I forgot to mention he's 58, about to be 59 years old. Forgot to mention that. Yeah, he's coming up on 60 and getting his blue belts in jiu-jitsu. So that whole "it's too late for me to start" bullshit. Fuck that. If you have interest in jiu-jitsu, get your ass down to a gym. That being said, though, the last couple are not necessarily as fun. The first one here, there have been some pictures, there have been some rumors, but we actually got confirmation directly from the source this week via a morning show over in Dubai. Alistair Overeem has officially decided to, and I quote for those of you listening, "stop fighting and focus on promoting only health going forward." Apparently, he got a nutritionist who has convinced him that he had parasites in his body and has gone on an extreme detox. If you've seen any of his social media, he is quite literally about half of the individual that he was even just last year when he fought Badr Hari again. He has gone full vegetarian and is on a hardcore regimen of plant-based nutrient supplements. It is a very strange situation, to say the least. It feels very, very Diego Sanchez-esque, for lack of a better comparison, really. This is very similar feeling, but nutritionist instead of fight coach kind of thing. Hopefully everything works out, but it's just, the whole thing feels real fucking weird. It feels real weird. The other one here, unfortunately, is not something that I like to talk about, but sadly, because of the way the news cycle in the MMA world goes, we sadly repeatedly have to talk about. If there is any type of a silver lining that can be put on it, though, I would say this would be a good example of that. The New York Yankees pitcher Jimmy Cordero has officially been suspended for the entire rest of the 2023 season and any potential Yankees 2023 postseason games for violating the MLB's domestic violence policy. Exact specifics have not been released because there is an ongoing police investigation. Obviously, there's a domestic violence situation. This is also sadly not the first time Jimmy Cordero has found himself in trouble with this particular policy of the MLB, which is why, upon the investigation being launched, he is immediately being suspended for the entire duration of the year, any and all games going forward until the investigation completes, and likely to be completely released the day that this was announced. They cleared out his locker from the Yankees locker room. They cleared out his nameplate and completely vacated the space where he, prior to yesterday, had resided. So as sad as it is to see that this is not a unique situation to combat sports, it is nice to see that other professional sports leagues take this type of thing a little more fucking seriously than certain other combat sports leagues. Which, sadly, once again, leads me into this week's final story. we have once again made it through a full week's news cycle, and Dana White has yet to suffer any kind of fucking real world consequences for openly slapping his wife multiple times over New Year's Eve down in Mexico. And no, contrary to Dana's multiple insistences, having to live with the knowledge that it happened is not actually punishment enough. Fuck you, Dana. We will keep saying it most likely for the rest of the year because I don't see any real world punishment happening. That being said, do either one of you gentlemen have any news stories that I might have missed this week that are worth throwing across here?
Oh, I got a fucking big one that you missed. A fucking big one.
What do we got here?
The legend himself, GSP, is returning to combat sports. He's got a match in the, what is it? At the Fight Pass Invitational, BJJ.
Really?
Which will be on Fight Pass, of course.
Right.
So, GSP is coming back into combat sports on the BJJ side of the house.
Interesting. He had mentioned a couple of times on a couple of different shows that if he ever did come back, he would most likely be in combat karate since he was so hardcore affiliated with it and did some coaching and
it was
really enjoyed that.
Announced today on the UFC, some UFC press conference. I want to say it was in Canada or something, if I remember correctly. Or it might have been down at International Fight Week. I don't know, but I know I saw it on UFC Canada's page.
Interesting indeed. I'm here for it. I'll watch GSP get after it.
Oh, yeah. Who knows? Maybe that's the little fire he needs to say. Maybe I should come back for one more fight. Even though I'd rather he not because he's been away for so long. But, you know,
right.
I'm down to watch.
Anybody could pull that kind of shit off. GSP is probably one of the few that would be on the list.
Yeah. He's up there with the Jose Aldo, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When it comes to possibly being able to pull that comeback off. But I don't see Jose coming back. But GSP, this might be that little fire that he needed to, especially if he gets a nice slick W there, submit somebody. Yeah.
Right. Well, and especially since Jose is just kicking ass and taking names in the boxing world down in Rio as well, is almost as popular now in boxing as he was in soccer and then in MMA. So he's going for a third fucking genre of awesomeness down there. I don't think Jose is really thinking too much about that, but GSP might be, and that could be some interesting shit to see.
Yeah, so keep your eyes peeled for the Fight Pass Invitational. It's going to be worth it just to watch GSP.
Right.
For me, the only thing I wanted to touch on Chris Lencioni, the Bellator MMA fighter that had a cardiac arrest. He's at least showing some signs of improvement in his recovery. You know, earlier this week, taking some steps again and shit.
Yeah, he took his first
Just
steps.
continuing to pray for him and his family and shit. Some nice to see, like, little steps, you know, in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely cool to see that as well, for sure. So, with that being said, that is all we have got for news and recent events. Now, if you are like myself and Galti and a lot of the folks I know that tune in, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to us through Spotify or Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or whatever podcast consumption platform choice you happen to pick this up through, we appreciate you either way. But I know that a lot of the folks that tune in here and a lot of us that are associated with the show have been watching combat sports for a long fucking time. And I know, at least for myself and a couple of others I can vouch for, if you've been consuming combat sports for so long, you kind of inadvertently develop the set of blinders that you almost develop tunnel vision in what you watch, how, when you watch it, and you miss the forest for the tree, as it were. Luckily for us, though, we in fact have ourselves a bona fide young person with his finger right on the pulse of the MMA world and the combat sports world at large to help keep us old fucks in touch with the new and the up and coming folks before we see them already challenging for a belt, folks we can get on and root for as they are up and comers in a little segment we like to refer to as Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. Glad I'm actually awake to fucking give you a little fucking insight this week, you know? I remember once I woke up, came to last week, watched the rest of the pod. Later on, Golf T was touching on Ishmael Bonfim. I was going to talk about him last week had I stayed awake. We looked stupid on that one, but still think the kid's got potential. Had to throw that out there. And then little recap on where the Ultimate Fighter is 6 fucking weeks in. Absolute dog shit. Continues to be absolute dog shit, just like all you guys think. Even though, you know, the youth would be nice, there is no youth. The veterans have won all 6 fucking weeks. It is literally the dumbest idea in the fucking world to pit prospects against the veterans. Had they mixed and combined the teams, like having prospects and veterans on the same fucking team, so you get some prospects to get through, and then you have some prospects to just work with and learn with the veterans instead of competing against each other. Yeah, the dumbest idea in the world. I think the last couple of weeks, the last couple of fights, veterans will come out on top again. And the semifinals and finals is just whittling down the fucking dudes that have already had chances in the UFC before, shat on it, got cut. Now they're going to get a second shot and somehow be the Ultimate Fighter. It's fucking disgusting. So that's my touch on that. The only fucking good moment, finally, was the little second, you know, after the fight was over. And Connor finally got a little pissy and fucking pushes Michael Chandler. And the good moment to me is just Michael Chandler's reaction. Connor finally gets pissy. He's just like, let's go. Yeah, you wish you could fucking fight Connor, buddy. Keep on dreaming. It's not going to happen. Well, the rest of that's probably going to continue to be shit. It's that we're not getting any prospects that I can talk about with it because they keep getting their asses beat by cans that already lost their shot at the UFC ones. It's gross. It's gross shit. So let me talk about some decent shit that we're going to see this weekend because we got quite a few fucking contenders on this card. We'll run through the cans real quick first. So I got a whole fight I'm throwing in the trash this weekend. We've already seen it before. We saw it just a little while ago, too. Fucking Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Minifield. What in the fuck is this shit? Giving us this fucking fight as a rematch. Went to a fucking draw for a reason. It was a disgusting, boring-ass, sad sack worth of fucking shit fight. Both these guys have no business being in the UFC. Jimmy Crute still has some youth on his side, 27 years old. Like, when he came into the UFC, I guess you could say he was that contender prospect that I would normally tout. You know, good record, damn near undefeated, had a lot of finishes, you know, a lot of knockout ability, then get to the UFC and just get smoked. And get smoked. And get smoked. And then have a boring walrus slap fight against Alonzo Minifield. And we get to see the same goddamn thing. This is probably the only fight I'm actually upset with this week. Because at least with Bo Nickel and Jack Della Maddalena, they saved that. We still get to see them. We get to see those superstars, those prospects, put on another performance. We know how it's going to go. It's predictable as shit, and that makes it a lot less exciting. But still get to see that. This is trash. This has to go into the trash. Both these motherfuckers cans, whole fight going in the trash. Next guy going in the can spot this week, Marcin Prachnio. I absolutely can't stand this guy. I don't think he's got much talent worth of shit. I mean, at least he's going against a real fucking talented prospect in Victor Petrino here. Or Vitor, not Victor. Vitor Petrino. Well, this kid's fucking exciting. I know he just got a decision win in his debut over Anton Turkalj, but it looked great in his fucking Contender Series fight. Kid's got a lot of finishing ability. We'll see how he goes, but I'm putting Prachnio in the can spot. We got Shannon Ross. Throwing him in the can spot, too. This guy's best attribute is just his toughness. He literally got he got his contract off the Contender Series because he fought with appendicitis. Like, he looked good in the first round, and then in the second round, shit turned around, got his ass knocked out, lost the fight, but because he had appendicitis and fought through that, Dana White felt for him, right? Gave him the contract. He got his ass beat, got himself worked in his debut. Dude's got a 12-7 record. don't think he's going to do much of shit this weekend. He's facing Jesus Aguilar. Kid lost to Tatsuro Taira in his fucking debut. So I still feel like Aguilar has a little bit of potential here. A hell of a lot more than Shannon Ross. Like, I think that's disgusting. The UFC gives anybody a contract and they got that kind of record. You know? They talk shit on Dana White every week for a reason. The last one I'm going to throw in the can, Edgar Chavez, kid making his UFC debut against Tatsuro Taira. This is another one of those situations they just need that last minute fill in, and I understand that, but still throwing this kid in the can spot. All 10 of his wins come by finish, but it's against lackluster fucking competition out in the regional scene. And he already had his chance on the Contender Series. Got his ass beat by Clayton Carpenter. I hate seeing those situations too, where the UFC gives a guy a second chance on the Contender Series after losing, let alone, oh, fuck, let's just give him a shot straight at the UFC, even though we already gave you a chance and you lost. Throwing him in the can suit. So here's the contenders. I got Tatsuro Taira, talked about him, undefeated, 13-0, amazing Japanese prospect, tons of finishing ability on both sides. Kid's got the grappling, he's got the fucking striking. This is an exciting fucking kid at 125 pounds. Like having some knockout power and shit. Being that Japanese prospect, it's exciting shit. We're still waiting on that first Japanese champion. You got the Chinese champion with Zhang Wei Li, right? And we're waiting on the Japanese one to come through. This ain't going to push him closer to contention, right? The actual rankings and true contention, because he's facing a guy I'm throwing him can debut. But still, look for Taira. Once they start giving him some fucking true competition, I think he'll blow through them just the same. Cameron Saman, look out for this kid, 22 years old, undefeated. Fucking knockout power for another small guy. Only thing has been somewhat questionable in his first couple fights. Seems a little dirty, you know, that youthful side. Maybe he's a little ornery. You know, likes to kick dudes in the balls, go for the eye pokes, you know, grabbing the fence and shit. We'll see if he cleans it up a little bit in this third fight. But I always like hearing Mike Heck say it, you know, if the refs don't fucking call it, don't take a point, don't stop. You know, if they're not going to do anything about it, it's not really cheating. I think in his last fight, though, he lost a point after you know, a nut shot, eye poke, and all that. And the ref was like, no, buddy, I'm taking a point. So he's got to clean that up. He's still 22 years old. Looking forward to this kid. Yasmin Jaregi. We throw it over to the ladies' side, 24 fucking years old, undefeated, 10-0, 7 fucking knockouts of the 10 wins. Chick has crazy striking power and ability for a straw weight. All these tiny women, tiny dudes. You love seeing the knockout power out of these fucking lighter weight classes. She's facing Denise Gomes, another young lady, 23 years old, 7-2, looking like a good prospect herself. So if you're ready, you know, just blast through her, fucking off to the moon, in my opinion. Definitely keep an eye out for her. You got Jack Della Maddalena, fucking easy. Don't need to go deep into that. You got Bo Nickel. It's obvious. These motherfuckers are contenders. You just keep your eye on them. Eventually, they're going to climb their way up to the title, in my opinion. Dricus du Plessis, he wins this weekend. He's literally number one contender. Israel Adesanya has literally said, I want to fight this dude. So he's literally going to get the title shot in September if he's healthy enough to fucking take it. And he wins this weekend against Robert Whittaker. Got to throw him the contender spot. The last one, Jalen Turner. Tarantula. He's right back in contention himself after beating Dan the Hangman. I feel like even if he loses, kid's still got potential. He's young as hell. That lightweight division's full of fucking killers, and he's going to be around for a while. He's talented every fucking which way, on the ground, on the feet. Looking forward to seeing how he does against Dan Hooker this weekend. So throw it to you guys. You got any contenders, any cans for this weekend?
You knocked the cans right out of the park. I'm 100% on board, but definitely nobody wants to see Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menifield again. The only thing I want to see out of both of them is them get walking papers at the same fucking time, because I have no fucking respect for either one of those guys. To be honest, most fighters I would say I'm worried about getting my ass kicked. Neither one of those I would worry about getting my ass kicked. It's a sad thing to say that, considering they're in the fucking UFC currently, but neither one of them have shown anything that's worthwhile in the light heavyweight division. There's no way either one of them get anywhere near the top of the division. They can both kick fucking rocks. And on fucking contender side of the house, I'm going to agree with Dricus du Plessis, only because Robert Whitaker doesn't like peanut butter, and fuck him. You don't like peanut butter, you can suck a dick, dude. Suck a dick. I like old Bobby Knuckles, but you lost a lot of respect not liking peanut butter. And to make it worse, he doesn't like peanut butter cups. So fuck him. Dricus du Plessis all the way until he gets to Israel Adesanya, and Adesanya beats the brakes off of du Plessis.
Yeah, no, I can agree with a lot of what you said there. One of the few things where I am going to disagree a little bit here, I don't think throw the whole Jimmy Crute Alonzo Menifield fight in the can division. I think that fight, given that it did go to a draw, is justifiable as a rematch. On this pay-per-view, get the entire fuck out of here. But the fight itself, I can see justified as a rematch. Where I would turn that, though, and throw the entire fuck the fight out would be, however, that Marcin Prachnio versus Vitor Petrino fight. That decision fight that Petrino went to was not enough to interest me to see him again. And even as a fellow Polak, as much as it fucking pains me to say, Prachnio is walking fucking NyQuil. That dude just... he induces narcolepsy the second his fight starts. He makes you just keel the fuck over, and not out of getting knocked out, but out of fucking boredom. And that hurts as a Polak to say, but I have zero interest in seeing either one of those dudes fight again, let alone again on a fucking pay-per-view on International Fight Week of all fucking cards, the supposed most important pay-per-view of the year, I say with air quotes for those of you listening. What I will say, though, for my contender of this particular card, I agree with you, Tatsuro Taira. It cannot be screamed about enough, in my opinion. But the other one that is seeming to slide under the fucking radar, you also tapped on, that's our girl Yasmin Yarigui. That girl is fucking liquid dynamite. I am telling you right now, if she doesn't touch a belt sometime in the next decade, I would be drastically fucking surprised. I'm not saying she's gonna Mackenzie Dern this shit and put zeros on her fucking wristband and, you know, youngest champion ever. No. What I'm saying is this girl has potential and a mindset to keep getting better and going forward. And that's a beautiful thing to see in a younger female fighter. Denise Gomes is no easy walk in the puck. So it's going to be a great fight again. But Yasmin Uraguay just has so much fucking potential on the field, is being so overlooked. That girl deserves a giant fucking spotlight on her. The other side of that, though, my only real can for this whole card is Dan Hooker. I love Dan Hooker as a person, as a fighter. He is the greatest coulda, shoulda, woulda LFA never locked down with a contract, in my opinion. He could have been one of the most dominant LFA champs they have ever fucking seen. He just isn't quite that UFC caliber level, and every time we seem to see a glint of maybe he gets the shit beat out of him by somebody else. And now this one bugs me extra because as much as I like Jalen Turner, the video that we saw him losing his fucking cool on a prank dude in Vegas earlier this week makes me question him as well. But we've seen that Dan Hooker, in or out of the cage, good dude, bad fighter. So I'm officially putting Hooker in my can division this week.
I absolutely love that you fucking said that. Yeah, I didn't put Dan in the fucking can spot or the contender spot because if he beats Jalen Turner, it puts him back in contention, right? He's right in the middle. And that's why I'm glad that you brought it up because to me, that's where he is. He's teeter totter. He wins, he's back this way. He loses, he's fully out, you know. And I feel like he is right now leaning more towards it. That's why I fully agree. He's not in a good spot.
Feels like he's fighting for gatekeeper status.
Yeah,
and
every
that's
big
never
fight
a good
he's
place to
ever
be.
had, he hasn't been able to live up to it so far.
Yeah, like it's one thing to fight a gatekeeper. It's another thing to be fighting to be the gatekeeper. And that kind of feels like where Dan Hooker is kind of trapped right now. And that's not good.
But then the other thing, you touched on Jalen Turner, right? The only thing I wanted to mention, most of those little prank videos and shit you see online, they're fake and they're set up. So I've seen that dude, that same dude that you showed in the chat earlier. He's done a lot of those videos with other UFC fighters. So I just got a feeling the dude fucking, his buddies with some fucking managers or some of them or whatever. He just does the collabs with them, right?
Right.
Got himself his online following, so then the fighters just make the little video to give them each some collective clout kind of shit, right?
Right.
Especially that came out the week of Jalen's fucking fight and shit. They're probably just buddies or some shit. They made
I was just gonna say, I think that's probably what bugs me the most is that I'm fully willing to admit there's a 100% chance that's staged and set up just for the clicks and the likes and whatnot. But that almost brings it into my point that during a fight week where if he gets his ass whipped Saturday, that's a real bad course for Jalen Turner. He's not focusing on the fight. He's out fucking around. Because if it's staged, then you're fucking off during fight week. If it's not staged, you lost your cool on a YouTube prank, dude. Like, there's no good way to come out of this one, in my opinion,
I don't know. If it's staged, he's definitely fucking wrong. But like I said earlier when we were talking about it, don't let your alligator mouth overload your canary ass. And that dude had all of that fucking coming. I'm not saying that it's right.
Right.
But you know what? If you're going to talk shit to somebody and you have no idea who the fuck they are, and in this case, the fucking tarantula, if this was not staged, that dude is an absolute fucking moron and deserved to be put on his back like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not with a hand on the throat,
man.
but
People
definitely
take
on his
it way too far with the prank shit nowadays, all these prank videos and shit. That's why I feel like there's no way in hell the majority of them aren't staged because these fucking kids would be getting killed. With the reality of the world we live in nowadays, most people ain't even going to try to put hands on you. They're going to put lead in you.
Yeah, they're going to fire off.
Yep, he's lucky he's a fighter, so he only got hands.
Right.
Way worse if it was somebody else. Especially in Nevada. They're pretty red when it comes to guns there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, wild shit, though. But no, I agree with the Dan Hooker thing because he had a whole bunch of potential coming in, and then after he fought Dustin Poirier, that shit went clean out the fucking window. Yeah, it's like been a slow just dive to the ground. It's like a fucking train wreck. You know it's gonna happen, but you can't look away.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you gentlemen. Good fucking shit. Glad I was awake this week. Appreciate it. That's it for me.
Thank you very much, sir. Always much appreciated. Now, this would be the point during most podcasts where you get your B-roll, your mid-show fucking sponsorship, fucking ads. No. We don't fuck around like that here. This is the I'm No Joe podcast. If you like what we get up to around here, patreon.com/I'm No Joe. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get your name as a thank you on the end of every broadcast on this channel, and you get access to unaired and literally unairable content, things that we legally have to put behind a paywall and verify 18 and over for. Cool shit, crazy shit, fun shit, but not for the public shit, for those who help us do what we do kind of shit. That being said, this leads us into the only part of the podcast that requires its own individual disclaimer. Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast yet. That being said, Tapology.com does offer the ability for you to create a free account on their website and make picks on fights, just like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups on that website. We made just one of those groups. Call it I'm No Bookie or Group 965, however you need to search it. It is open to the public. You are more than welcome to make yourself one of those free accounts, join our free little group, and put your picks head to head against our picks in a little segment that we recap that we call Tapology with TJ.
All right, boys, we're going to hop right into the deep end of the fucking pool here. When I say the deep end, I mean last week. We're talking about the Strickland and fucking Magomedov card. Anybody who thought anything different was going to happen with that Strickland fight is a fucking retard. You can't just pull in some unranked guy and expect Strickland to not walk through them and deal with the little bit of fire that the guy put out to begin with. Which, to his credit, had he had a way better gas tank than what he actually does, he would have kicked Strickland's ass. But he didn't have a fucking gas tank, and Strickland made him pay for it in the second round with just his normal pitter-patter. There was no power behind his shots, as usual. And I say that lightly. There's obviously power behind them, but he's a fucking point fighter. Now, with all that being said, our guy who comes in at the top spot over on Tapology last week is Vin Dog the Booty Hog. 8 of 12 correct, 480 points. Surprisingly enough, no perfects for him this week. Usually when he wins, he's got a perfect or two in there, which is kind of crazy. He's got a partial, 2 of them to be exact. But Vindog Booty coming in strong. Fucking, he's had a couple of W's here as of late. Looking pretty solid over in his picks department there. I wonder whose fucking cheat sheet he's cheating off. I'd say it's old Christian's, but that ain't the case because Christian wasn't there. He wasn't anywhere near him. But that's all right. Now, with that being said, we're gonna skip everybody in the middle because it was all kind of a fucking cluster real close there. We're gonna go right down to the bottom. There's going to be a caveat to this bottom spot as I put this out. So make sure you're paying attention. The bottom spot was occupied by 2 people. Myself and Don, aka River Tour, on there. Both coming in at 365 points. The caveat to this, I picked 500 or better. He did not. He had 5 correct. The only thing that saved his ass from being dead last is 1 perfect. This is why I brought up the perfect thing with Vindog the Booty Hog earlier. Those perfect picks can really save your ass in a pinch, especially when you don't even break the 500 mark on picks. Now, that's happened to a lot of us before, so I'm not dogging on you for fucking making that, but I'm saying, you make the right picks and the right choices in the right fights, sometimes that's all it takes to put you in that top spot or to keep you from tripping over your dick by yourself. Instead, we're playing double dutch hand in hand over here this week. So, hopefully, this coming week, things turn around. This is back-to-back weeks that I've been sharing the bottom spot. The last week was my own goddamn fault for not getting them in a timely fashion. So I take full responsibility for chopping that motherfucker off and throwing it in the wood chipper. Luckily, the doctors were able to save it, put it back together so I could play double dutch this week. So, now that's going to bring us into this week's event. Man, with the fuckery that's been afoot and the changing of fucking fights and things like that, we finally got some fucking weird and crazy odds going on. So, for the most part, there's not anything very close. The closest fight on here is the rematch that nobody wants to fucking see. In Alonzo Menifield and Jimmy Crute. I'm going to bounce around a little bit on these because, like I said, none of them are all that close. Only that one is the true, really close one here on the card. So, Yasmin and Denise, have a pretty wide margin here for a women's fight. Don't see this too often. Got Yasmin coming in as a minus 375 favorite. And Denise getting that plus 290 underdog. And that's all through BetMGM that I'm talking about tonight. So know that that's the case. Now, Robbie Lawler and his retirement fight with Nico Price. We got Nico Price coming in as a minus 225 on favorite, and Robbie Lawler coming in as a plus 185 on his retirement fight. I can understand that completely, purely on the fact of, well, we've seen what's kind of been going on with Robbie Lawler as of lately. Here's one that I don't think is quite right. I think the odds should be swayed a little bit more. The Dan Hooker, Jalen Turner fight. Dan Hooker plus 225, Jalen Turner minus 275 is the favorite. Don't get me wrong, I think the odds are right, but I don't think Dan Hooker's that good. Next one we're going to talk about here is the co-main event in Brandon Moreno and Alexandra Pantoja. Brandon Moreno coming in as a solid minus 225 favorite over a plus 175 Pantoja, which ironically, Pantoja was one of the few men to beat Moreno. And that also means they're giving him the favorite, thinking that he's going to erase that L, which I can't blame him. He's went back and erased L's from people he's lost to, Davidson Figueiredo specifically, and done them in dominant fashion. So something to be said about the baby assassin over there. Main event there, Yair Rodriguez and Alexander Volkanovski. Not quite as close as everybody would have thought as far as the betting odds are concerned, considering the amount of blow the smoke up Rodriguez's ass to make him feel better about himself. They've got Volkanovski coming in as a lowly minus 350 favorite, and Yair Rodriguez is a plus 260. So not quite as wide as I think the odds should be, but I think a lot of that has to do with the hype that they're pushing behind Yair Rodriguez there. I'm going to start hopping in some other really fucking crazy ones here. Cameron Saaiman and Terrence Mitchell. Saaiman, a minus 550 favorite. Mitchell, a plus 400 underdog. Not to be outdone. Tatsuro and Edgar, they've got Tatsuro as a minus 1100 favorite over a plus 675 in Edgar. Yeah, we got some wide shit on here. Oh, that's not where it stops. With the change in fuckery, Jack Della Maddalena and Josiah Hiromu. Maddalena at a minus 1,000 favorite. Josiah, a plus 625 underdog. Oh, but wait, it gets better. The craziest fucking odds on the entire card. This is Valentina fucking versus some no-name girl fucking spread here. Bo Nickel and Val Woodburn. Currently, minus 2,500 Bo Nickel favorite over a plus 1,100 Val Woodburn. That's Valentina in her prime, or fucking Nunes in her prime taking on women, where those odds were just drastically so fucking wide. We don't see that in the men's side often at all. So seeing three of them that are just fucking crazily outlandish. I understand the last minute replacements. We also have to remember here, Bo Nickel is a beast, yes, but he's also only been fighting MMA for like what, 2 years now?
Yeah, this is his second year.
Yeah. So giving him that wide of odds, even against an unknown Val Woodburn, it's a little crazy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you to bet against Bo Nickel, because I think Bo Nickel is going to walk him like a fucking dog. But if you got an extra $100 laying around, it's burning a hole in your pocket, throw that motherfucker on Val Woodburn. You could be $1,100 richer if he fucking makes the upset, which could happen. I'm not saying it's going to, but it could. Same goes for these other fights in Jack Della Maddalena, which highly unlikely that he fucking loses here. But then you also have Tetsuro. He's just an undefeated relative unknown still, too. Don't get me wrong. He's got a lot of potential, but in a minus 1,100 favorite, that seems a little wild for a fucking prospect, you know? Just saying. Edgar's sounding like a good plus 675 to bet on there. So there are some crazy fucking odds out there on this fight card. Just be aware of that when you're making your bets or making your picks over on Tapology when you join our group 965 or I'm No Bookie. Come hang out, get shit talked about you. Come play double dutch with somebody else other than me or Don. You know, enjoy yourselves. Get in on the fun. Remember, there's wild odds out there. This is the weekend to make some crazy fucking bets. I'm just saying because there's some crazy fucking odds there. I'm not telling you to go bet $1,000 against Bo Nickel. That's just fucking stupid. But you know, 50, $100, sure, why not? It's worth the chance. $5,500 or $1,100, you know, for 50 or $100, it's a pretty good return on an investment if it pans out. I'm just saying. So look into it. But most importantly, come join the group. Have fun. Let us know who you are. We can talk shit to you or about you. Either way.
Thank you very much, sir. Always appreciate it. And yeah, if you haven't joined the group yet and you are interested in joining the group, please make sure to do so because we have got this week and then next week. And then after next week, we wrap everything up and we start over for season 9. And once we start season 9 of the I'm No Joe podcast, we are going to start a season-long Tapology Pick'em league, essentially. And if you would like to get in on that league, you are more than welcome to, but it means that you have to have your account made no later than the end of next week. So this is your official warning. If you are listening to this in podcast form, you are already a week behind the people seeing this live. That means take your ass over right now while you are hearing this. Go to tapology.com, find group 965. I'm No Bookie. Join and make it known. Message us, drop a comment on the YouTube video, comment in the group, something. Let us know you saw this, you are in the group, and you want in on the season because we kick it off in just 2 weeks. I will remind everyone again next week, but this is your 2-week reminder. If you want in on the season 9 I'm No Joe Tapology League, make it fucking known within the next week. I am waving my hands at the camera for those of you who are just listening. So this is your auditory attention grab. For those of you who are not watching, get your shit together. We're waiting for you, boy. That being said, this is the point where if you are listening in the all audio format, first and foremost, we appreciate you. Thank you. But this does put you at a detriment because those of you watching live on youtube.com/I'm No Joe will know by the uproarious gif that has taken over the screen that this is the point in the show where things stop being so friendly and start getting a little bit competitive. This is the point where things go from ha ha hee hee to oh shit, there we go, where we roll back the sleeves in a little thing that we like to call the pit. This is where we put one person against the other in pure punchy kicky knowledge and fuckery goodness. This weekend, this evening, tonight, boys and girls, we've got another good one in store here. We have got the one and only Golf T. Oopsies on that side. The one and only Golf T Vapes himself, taking on the kid who swears to stay awake for competition. SlowB Christian getting it on this evening. Gentlemen, are you ready for the pit?
Let's do work, sunshine, young buck. Glad you don't have your sleeping aids tonight, so you'll actually be able to manage to slog through this somehow.
Yeah, hopefully I'm awake and aware enough that I can manage to get this done and sneak out a win.
You'll be awake, but aware, that's debatable.
Well, to try and help you stay awake and aware, we'll give you the first one to kick things off here, Christian. So as we like to do in our little roundup game of the pit here, first and foremost, in every single event, much less pay-per-view events, and international fight weeks are no exemption, there is always one fight that just isn't getting the shine that it deserves. One fight that if anyone is even within auditory distance, you have to get their attention and let them know that this is the one to pay attention to, the fight that we like to refer to around here as the fight of the evening. So for you, Christian, what fight just isn't getting enough hype and you have to give it a little more shine right meow?
Well, this one's easy for me personally, and I think a lot of hardcore fight fans would agree. And I think even Mom would agree. Mom would like this. Mom would appreciate it because it's some nice, strong young ladies with fucking nice, impressive, talented young independent ladies. Denise Gomes versus fucking Yasmin Ure. I mean, this is totally underrated. Being in the prelims, not the underrated aspect of it, just the not being talked about. This is two really young fucking girls that both have the same amount of fucking potential. Have looked okay since they got in the UFC. Like, the Juregis looked really good. Denise Gomes lost her debut. She bounced back in the second fight. But she still has looked okay, even in that loss. She looks like she's got some potential. This is going to be an exciting fight. It's definitely going to be a challenge and a test for Uregi, but I still feel like she's got that chance to get the fucking finish. Mentioned it earlier on my little contenders segment, right? They're straw weights. These are tiny little ladies, and Juregi's got some serious fucking knockout power in those hands. It's going to be impressive as hell if she knocks out Denise Gomes. It's going to roll that fucking train full steam ahead for this chick, like you mentioned as well earlier. One day being a fucking champion. The fact that it's not being talked about, the fight as a whole, especially, a little surprising and disappointing. So it's for sure my underrated fight this week.
I can definitely understand that. I can definitely agree with you there. There's a reason that I gave those girls both specifically the shout out, but Uregui, I've been waving that fucking flag since we first saw that fucking girl, and I'll continue to wave that flag until she runs me over holding it. So we would definitely be paying attention to that fight in my fucking household. So flip things over as we like to do here. Golf Tee, that'll bring us to you. In every card, there is inevitably one fight that just doesn't get the shine that should be focused onto one fight here. For you, for your money, if anybody is close enough to hear, for you, what is that fight for this International Fight Week card?
I'm going strongly against my own will here. And I say this for one reason. I don't think it's going to be the barn burner that I want it to be. But I think it's one worth watching. Everybody should watch. And that's Robbie Lawler and Nico Price. For anybody who forgets, even though Robbie Lawler's chin is a little suspect as of late, did we forget what the fuck he did to Rory McDonald in the brawl those two motherfuckers had? And Nico Price is no fucking slouch. He does some weird, crazy shit to get finishes. I'm just saying, something crazy could happen here. But if for nothing else, watch the fight because it's Robbie's last fight. People need to see this. This is a part of history. It's a legend going down. He's putting it away, dropping the gloves, calling it a fucking day. If nothing else, watch him retire. And what a way to end the fucking prelims in the premier prelim spot. To be honest, I kind of wish they would have put him on the main card and let Bo Nickel run that premier prelim spot, but Bo Nickel is their new draw, so I get where they're coming at from a money aspect. But still, definitely worth a watch. Yeah, they've talked to him a couple times, but it's not gotten the amount of shine that I think it needs to in a guy that's retiring, fighting a very dangerous Nico Price.
I can absolutely agree with that. And I definitely agree. If I had my fucking 2 cents in it, I would absolutely have probably had them switch that Bo Nickel and the Robbie Lawler fights around. Let Bo have that premier prelim spot. Let Robbie have that fucking main card spot. But On the other side of that, I also understand that they have already honey-dicked Bo so much, they got to give him a little something. And I agree. This fight is not getting enough fucking shine. It deserves so much more attention. On the other side of that, though, if you are watching UFC 290 and you don't know about the Robbie Lawler, or excuse me, about the fact that Robbie Lawler is retiring during the same card that he is being inducted into the Hall of Fame during, hopefully this is enough to get you to pay attention. Also, slap yourself. That being said, good round for both of you gentlemen. I am going to give the point for round one here to SlowB, just because I feel like those ladies being essentially buried in the prelim card of a 14 fight card has a lot better chance to get overlooked than the premier prelim spot, whether people are previously paying attention or not here. But both points very good. We are giving round one though to SlowB. So round two here, that'll bring us back across the octagon, as it were. Golf Tee, we will let you kick this one off. So if every card has a fight that just isn't getting enough shine, that means inevitably the other side of that coin means there is one fight that is getting all the shine and it doesn't fucking deserve it. The one that we like to tell people, this would be your intermission fight. Go get a drink, go rub one out, give the old lady the good what for, make sure your bathroom duties are fulfilled, essentially, whatever you need to do. For you, sir, what is the overhyped fight of this International Fight Week card?
I'm not going to take the low-hanging fruit that we've been fucking bagging on all night here, even though the low-hanging fruit is sitting all in front of us and we all know what it is. To be honest, my fight that I'm going to say, go do something else, is going to surprise the fuck out of everyone. Bo Nickel and Val Woodburn. Walk out. We already know Bo Nickel's going to walk him like a dog. Go do something else. You'll catch the highlight because it's going to be under a fucking minute anyways. So go find something else to do. Come back for the true card opener and Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker.
Interesting indeed. Bold strategy, Cotton. Bold strategy. We'll have to see if it works out for him here. Kristen, that brings us across the octagon back to you here. If every card has one that gets none of the spotlight, that means that every card has at least one that gets too much fucking spotlight. So for you, what would you like to call people to the intermission fight of this weekend, the overhyped fight of the card for you?
For me, with Golf Tee, I'm not going to take low-hanging fruit here, but I'm going to go in the light heavyweight division still. Vitor Petrino versus Marcin Praggnio. I feel like Petrino's got some ability there, but yeah, he did have a pretty rough decision win in his debut. So I think he's going to get the win here easily no matter what, but is he really going to put on an impressive performance? We don't know. It might just be a walrus fucking slap fight. So Praggnio, like you said earlier, he's like fucking walking night. Just going to put you the fuck to sleep. So to me, there's actually quite a few contenders, like I was talking about earlier, that I'm excited to see. Bo Nickel is one of them. I'm excited as fuck to see Bo Nickel beat the shit out of this kid in 10 seconds, 60 seconds, however long it's going to wind up being. I'm excited to see that. Now, I can spend the rest of the time while they're talking and bullshit and leading up to the next fight because that one finished quick. I can do what I need to do then. I'll fucking get my beating off and other stuff like that, taking my dabs and shit while this light heavyweight bout with Petrino and fucking Praggnio's going on.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand, and I definitely agree with that. As I mentioned earlier, it pains me as a Pollock to say it, but I feel like Prachnio has already shown us the best of what he's got to offer, and it wasn't enough to really get anybody's attention and hold it. That being said, as much as it pains me to say it, I actually agree with Galti here. If they insist on putting Bo Nickel as the first fight on the card, I'm staring you in the camera. For those of you that are just listening, I'm staring directly into the fucking camera for this. I genuinely believe Bo Nickel's walkout and introduction will take longer than the fight will. I genuinely do. I'm not telling you that to encourage your betting favor. I'm not telling you that to encourage your viewing habits. What I'm telling you is I am looking you directly in the camera, and I believe that Bo Nickel's introduction will take longer than the fight will. I feel it only fitting on that ground that I have to give the point for round 2 to Galti here. I feel like you're genuinely going to be better off either A, just waiting for the highlight to get released on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube shorts on youtube.com/I'm-no-joe/shorts that you will inevitably find once it ends wraps up. But I do genuinely think that Bo's fight is not really going to be worth the watch initially because it's going to be easier to replay. It hurts, but I think it's the right move. So, with that being said, that'll bring us to round 3 here. Round 3, we will bring it back over to Christian. Christian, round 3, we have got one hell of a 2-title card this weekend. So both 3 and 4 are title questions this evening. So round 3, we're talking about our co-main event, the reigning champion, Tijuana's own, Brandon the Assassin Baby Moreno versus Ali Pants, Alexandre Pantoja, the number 2 contender in the flyweight division now that Figgy Smalls has officially left that weight class. So my question for you, sir, in this title fight co-main event, how do you think this shakes out?
Well, I know we don't like fucking going by MMA math around here. So the fact that Pantoja's beat Moreno, twice before? Because they beat him on the Ultimate Fighter, right? And then they fought each other again. Brandon Moreno's such a different guy, personally, and such a different fighter than he was years ago when they fought. He's grown and evolved so much. I feel like Ali Pants, still just a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. He's a grappler at heart. But maybe he can stand and strike and go to war with Moreno. But what we've seen from Moreno in the last couple fights, especially against Kai Kara France and Figueiredo, just how good he's getting with his boxing, his striking. He's so confident. He seems so sharp, so focused in his fights. The pressure doesn't get to him. You even see in the face-offs of the press conference, he's just smiling at Pantoja. And you can see it pissed Pantoja off. He tried to act even tougher. He's like, what the fuck are you smiling at before, you fucking weird son of a bitch? Yeah. Brandon Moreno's just, I feel like, always in that perfect locked-in headspace. And I felt like that third fight with Figueiredo, he won. The judges don't always see things the way all the rest of us know what a fucking fight is. See it? So they had to go a fourth one. They had to knock the motherfucker out. Or technical knockout, right? A doctor stoppage because he fucked his eye up so bad he couldn't fucking see. I think Moreno gets it done. Whether Pantoja can last the entire fucking fight or Moreno just continues the finish streak here. I think Moreno's just that much fucking better and evolved, and he's going to get that little bit of revenge, continue to defend the fucking title.
Interesting indeed. I can definitely see that for sure. Excuse me. I think it is a little weird that we are at a third run back with these gentlemen here. I do agree. I think the first two were a little too close together. They ran that rematch back, the initial rematch, a little too close after the Ultimate Fighter. I felt like there wasn't enough chance for either of them to really change. So we kind of knew how that fight was going to go. Here we are now, a couple years later. Could be interesting results. So that brings us back across the cage here. Golf G, that brings us to you in this title fight, flyweight co-main event. 5 rounds for that strap of gold. How do you think it shakes loose, and who do you think walks out with that belt?
It's hard to disagree and try to even make a fucking bullshit call for Pantoja because I can't. I don't think that Pantoja as a whole has evolved enough compared to the amount of evolving that we've seen out of Brandon Moreno. Yeah, they both started here, but fucking Brandon Moreno's rocket and just the amount of change that he's been able to deal with between moving camps and fucking having a trilogy fight with fucking Davidson Figueiredo. That dude was a fucking world breaker, and Brandon Moreno said 2 out of 3. All right, I got you. So, just saying, there's obviously an evolution there. Let's put it in this terms. They both started out as 2 little squirtles. They both eventually ended up making their way up, evolving, but to War Turtle. But only one of them has made it to Blastoise. Take it into the nerd realm here, as Brandon Moreno would do. I mean, he was opening Pokemon cards during fucking Embedded, so just want to put that out there. Brandon Moreno's got that level of evolution that I don't think Pantoja has reached yet. Don't get me wrong. Pantoja's last 2 fights, submission, victory, but there's an asterisk in his last 3 wins. He went to a decision with Manel Cape. How the fuck do you go to a decision with him? He's really not that good. So, hate to MMA math this at all, but for fuck's sakes, I don't think Pantoja has it. I really don't. There's just something lacking in his game there that says he's not as good as Moreno. He was when they started, but not now. So, at this point, it's all Brandon Moreno, and I think he's going to finish him.
Interesting indeed. Excuse me. I will say, good points made on both sides here. I absolutely agree. I don't think Ali Pants belongs in this fight. I understand his last 2 fights were both good submissions, but I don't think that either one of them warranted the position that he has managed to find himself in right now. Despite both of you making good points, one of you, we can see, clearly wants to be the very best, the best there ever was. Just trying to catch all the points. Golf T, we are given the point to round 3 here. The Pokemon reference took it over the top here. Both of you made good points, but watching Brandon Moreno and his fucking kid open Pokemon cards live just cracked me the fuck up. So that absolutely gives that just little edge here. So we give the point for round 3 to Golf T. So back around here to round 4, flipping it over, as it were. Golf T, you'll start this one off for us here. The marquee, the reason for the season, the names, the faces that get the big space on the poster, the title fight main event of the evening, featherweight strap on the line, consolidation of the belts. The belt holder coming back to take on the interim belt holder, who didn't really need to be an interim belt holder, but that's another story, in Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez for that 145-pound strap, sir. Who takes it and how?
I'm probably going to catch hell for this, but I don't give a fuck. So we've got fake news Yair Rodriguez over there with his fake belt, and the real deal, Alexander Volkanovski. Look, there was no, as you said it, there was no need for a fucking interim belt. You knew Volk was going to come back and go kick ass and take names. He didn't even add fucking weight on when he went up a weight class to put on one hell of a showing and arguably fucking win a fight there. But we're talking about featherweights right now, so we're going to keep it here. To be honest, I don't think Yair Lucky Elbow Rodriguez is as good as everyone thinks he is. And if we look at the outcome of the last 4 fucking people that Alexander Volkanovski has fought, the way they looked when he's done with them, it's going to be a bad night in the office for Yair Rodriguez. Brian Ortega got pieced the fuck up. Max Holloway pieced the fuck up. Even when Volkanovski goes up a fucking weight class, fights Makhachev. Makhachev got pieced the fuck up too. He did not look clean coming out of there. The Korean Zombie did not look good. He got put away in the 4th. I'm just saying, those are the last 4 major fighters that he's fought. He hasn't had an easy fucking go of it. He's been fighting legitimate killers in the division and other divisions outside of his own. Where you look at Yair Rodriguez, and well, let's just say, in order for him to get a title shot, he beat Josh Emmett, who just got his ass fucking whipped. That doesn't state a whole lot. And let's say you came in, you fucking got a slick victory over fucking an already beat up Brian Ortega coming back after getting his ass whipped by Volkanovski. Wait a minute. And didn't Yair Rodriguez lose to fucking Max Holloway as well? How the fuck is he here? I'm just saying, there's some weird fuckery going on there. He's not as good. If he loses to a Max Holloway, I'm going to MMA math the fuck out of this. He loses to Max Holloway. Max Holloway got beat like a fucking cheap whore on cocaine that didn't pay her a pimp. And Yair couldn't take care of it. Yair has no fucking right being anywhere near having an interim belt. Granted, they basically just fucking handed it to him on a platter when they handed him Emmett to fight for it. But that's because Dana White thinks, oh my God, he's going to be a double champ, so we're going to have to strip him. No. He was going to hold both fucking titles and fight both. He wasn't holding up divisions. He's no Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor would have held up divisions. I have no shadow of a doubt with that. But not all fucking Volkanovski. Saying, Yair, I think this is another one of those cases, like I said earlier. Your alligator mouth is going to overload your canary ass, and you're going to get bit. Not to mention, you come in with that fuckery of a belt. Look, I understand wanting to do the people of Mexico proud. I have no problems with that. But you're literally defacing what it means to be the champ of that division by coming in with a custom-made belt. Get the fuck out of here with your bullshit, your fake belt, your fake news. Go bye-bye somewhere else. Fuck right off.
Strong takes for damn sure. I do agree with a lot of what you said there. But that'll bring us back across the octagon, as it were, here to Christian. Christian, we have got, like we said, the featherweight belt on the line. Like it or not, it is the unification of Alexander Volkanovski's current reign as featherweight with the Yair Rodriguez interim belt they put into place when he fought Makhachev, but he is back to unify or subsequently lose the belt. So the question comes to you, sir. Who walks out of that cage Saturday evening with the sole featherweight strap?
I think it's a pretty easy fucking choice, man. Fucking Alexander Volkanovski is gonna fucking just wipe the floor with it, man. He's dominated tons of fucking top level guys. Max Holloway 3 fucking times. Hall of Famer already in that right. Fucking beat the shit out of Brian Ortega. Absolutely destroyed the Korean Zombie. I don't see this fucking one being any different. You can pull out the MMA math. Yeah, fucking Yair won against Zombie. The luckiest fucking shit in the world. Last fucking second elbow. The dude's got a little bit of danger, I guess, that he imposes. He's got that ability to show some jujitsu similar to Brian Ortega. But we've seen Volkanovski ain't fucking tapping and can fight through that fucking shit no matter how good of a fucking hold you get. Whatever kind of choke hold or submission hold, he's gonna fight through that shit. And then if he gets through it, he's gonna beat your fucking ass afterwards because you pissed him the fuck off. I just don't see it. He's got the crazy striking, but I don't really see the talent. He can throw crazy ass fucking kicks and elbows all he fucking wants. Volkanovski's got the technique. He's got the fucking skill. He's got the athleticism, the gas tank. He's just going to keep fucking coming. He's going to push the fucking pace, and he's going to put it on his ass. I think easy. We're seeing and still, just like I said with the fucking co-main event. That's why I had to throw the fucking music out there, man. Love that fucking walkout song, too. God damn. You know what's fucking coming when you hear that shit.
Hell yeah. Excuse me. No, I definitely agree with that for damn sure. Good points made on both sides here, gentlemen. I absolutely agree. I think we're looking at another and still situation here. You both make basically the same points that I was going to make about this. Volk is just too much of a fucking beast for anybody, in my opinion, at featherweight right now. Taporia might be interesting, but even he's got some rough edges he's got to work out before he gets to champ level. But I think that we are going to give the point for round 4 here to SlowB because he pointed out exactly the same way that I think this plays out. The only chance Yair has of winning this fight isn't by his skill, it isn't by his toughness, it isn't by his tenacity, it's by his crazy, it's by his flashy, unpredictable, why are you doing that bullshit, the last minute Hail Mary elbow against the fucking Korean Zombie, or a half a dozen other clear examples we can give of Yair not winning a fight, but being able to do something that he shouldn't do or doesn't make sense to do in a crazy type of way that manages to turn the fucking tide. Volk doesn't really fall susceptible to much of that type of crazy, though. Volk is one of those dudes that if you follow his social media, even just the embedded series, he makes a point to get comfortable being uncomfortable. He doesn't start working until he's already exhausted. Then he starts really training. So he's ready for any type of weird crazy that Yair might try and pull out of his ass. And I just don't think there's anything Yair's got technique, skill, or plan-wise that could really interrupt Alex's fucking reign at 145 pounds, in my opinion. So I agree. I think we walk out again with an and still situation here. So if you have been paying attention and if you can maths, you will know that that will bring us to a tie score of 2-2, which puts us into the round 5 winner take all sudden death match. Now, if you pay attention here, if you've been following the show, you know that round 5, we do not even talk about the event we are talking about this weekend. It is completely fucking separate. But before we get to round 5, there's more than just a UFC this weekend. We are not fucking Dana White shills. There's more to watch than just the Power Slab beneficiary this weekend in International Fight Week. Fuck those guys. That being said, in just a few hours, as is often the case, those lunatics at ONE FC are putting on another Friday night, because they're on the other side of the world, fights in ONE FC Friday Night Fights 24, kicking off at 7:30 a.m. in just a couple hours Central Time. Another mixed bout ONE FC card, 2 MMA matches, 10 Muay Thai fights. Not a lot of names the average casual will know, but a lot of great mixed martial arts as a whole for you to consume with your breakfast if that's your early hours. That being said, tomorrow evening, back during normal fight time at 8 p.m. Central Time, LFA 162 kicks off, one of the best feeder organizations for the UFC, in my opinion. There are a couple of names that a lot of folks may recognize if you pay more than just a little attention here. Not a lot of household names just yet, but again, this is one of those organizations that you keep your eye on because these folks are the ones who get those last minute calls to get pulled up to the UFC. So another good card tomorrow evening. That being said, obviously, 5 p.m. Central Time, Saturday evening, UFC 290 kicks off with that International Fight Week Vegas card. But seeing as how we are in round 5, Christian, I will give you prerogative here. Would you like to answer first or choose the fate of the both of you?
I'll choose the fate.
All right. All right. So, Golf Tee, that puts the prerogative in your corner here. Would you like to answer first or let Christian kick it off?
I'll take it first. You got to go first
Right.
when we started. I'll finish it out then.
All right. So, Christian, that means the choice is yours. You determine the fate of round 5. Choose your number, sir. 1, 2, 3, or 4. The post-its of fate.
I'm gonna go 3 because I think that's when Volkanovski knocks out Yair Rodriguez.
Ooh, a bold prediction and an interesting tile to choose for the final round nonetheless here, especially considering just this afternoon's announcement that ironically ties directly into this here tile. So, round 5. What is next for Nate? We know there's a certain boxing match that we're not endorsing, but there's a whole world beyond those doors. So, how do you think the future opens for Nate Diaz after his upcoming boxing match, sir?
One, we're not going to call it that. That's a farce. 2, I don't think we see him back in the UFC. 3, I think he goes back to Stockton. Goes back to teaching. Rides off into the sunset, opens up some fucking dispensary shops, sells some more fucking TBD, THC products. Yeah. Typical Nate things. Guaranteed, we're not going to see him in the fucking news. Why? Because even though he's a thug at heart, he's smart enough to not get himself into any legal troubles. And guess what? That's been happening since day fucking 1. Because he's been blatant about being fucking who he is, but never in trouble with the fucking law. BJJ has a way of doing that to people. I'm just saying. If anything, if you're talking, what are we going to see him do in the combat sports arena? You might see him in some sort of jiu-jitsu competitions, but I don't think we're going to see him back in MMA again.
Interesting. Very interesting take indeed. So that'll bring us back across the octagon, as it were, here to Christian, the puller of the card of fate. So the question comes back to you, sir. What is next for Nate?
Well, especially if he knocks out Numbnuts, like I'm hoping he does. Finally puts complete stop to that bullshit and fuckery. I can totally see what Golfty's saying and doing some jujitsu and stuff like that. I could see lots of things for Nate. I mean, he really, as a fan, I would want to see him back in the UFC just to fucking for shits and giggles and fun. Just to give him the title shot against Leon Edwards instead of the Colby Covington bullshit. If you're willing to throw Colby in there for no goddamn apparent reason, just give it to Nate for no apparent reason other than he fucking rocked Leon Edwards in their fight the other year ago. Just for shits and giggles. But the realistic, if he was gonna get back into fighting like MMA or get back in the UFC, I think it's just that fucking trilogy with Conor. That's really at this point the only way I see Conor getting back in there too. Just a huge fucking money fight that they would get. The UFC would have to pay the both of them ridiculous fucking amounts of money just to get it to happen. They're probably gonna sell a decent bit of pay-per-views, even though not everybody pays for them like a dumbass, you know. But I guess I agree with Golf Team a good bit. I think he's just gonna enjoy his fucking life at this point. Just get high, just fucking teach, pass down a lot of fucking lessons of the fight game, jiu-jitsu, and just enjoy his fucking life. But if we see him in the UFC or fighting again, I think it'd be that. Just the UFC, they wanted it in the first place. Apparently, Dana White said that that's what they were trying to go for before they, let Nate go in the first place. And shit didn't work out, mainly because of Conor getting hurt and all his roidage after the fact. I don't think it's very realistic. If it was going to happen, that's the only thing I think hasn't changed in it.
I can definitely understand that. So I will say I think you both make very valid points here. I do agree to a certain extent with both points here. First and foremost here, point for round 5 and winner of the match, SlowB. Great competition by both of you, and I will tell you why I picked SlowB for the winner here. I actually think you are both correct, but in the wrong direction here. In my opinion, and of course, this is just my opinion, I think Nate Diaz's future goes like this. Uneventful up until the last 45 seconds of the match in his upcoming next match, which we're not talking about, which will leave just enough desire to see Nate Diaz again, but not enough to get him back into the UFC. But we know what everyone wants to see him do next, and I think that's going to end up with the Nate Diaz Conor McGregor boxing match outside of the UFC, because I agree, I don't think either one of those guys are actually going to get in a UFC cage again. I don't think Nate does it. I don't think Conor does it. I think Conor's just on tough for the promotion, and I think all this hubbub about the quote-unquote last-minute exemption for the fucking USADA thing is going to fucking work. I think that Brock Lesnar tainted that water beyond fucking swimming in again, and I don't think it's going to work. So I think that's going to falter, and then we're not going to see McGregor Chandler, which nobody ever really thought we were going to. But I think Dana is just as guilty in that we would welcome Nate back. This is his house, blah, blah, blah. That's all smoke and mirrors bullshit as well. I think the smart move for everyone involved would be what they were originally threatening Conor and Dustin to do. And that is Conor versus Nate in a boxing match that they could set up as a quote unquote charity event and make all the money in the fucking world and leave Dana hanging out to dry looking like an idiot. But this is also Nate Diaz, so there is equal opportunity. He is going to continue to make gang signs with the left hand and balloon animals with the right, teaching classes and smoking weed, and there's no fucking knowing what he's going to do when he wakes up tomorrow, because Nate fucking Diaz. But that being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode of the show. Thank both of you gentlemen for a spectacular episode of The Pit. I appreciate both of you gentlemen. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, whether you were catching this live Thursday nights on youtube.com/IamNoJoe, or you're picking it up to your podcast consumption platform of choice via anchor.fm/IamNoJoe the week after we go live. We appreciate you just the same. Please make sure if you enjoy what we get up to around here, you are thumbs upping, subscribing, and turning your notifications on wherever you are getting this. On the other side of that coin, though, if you don't enjoy what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Just give us a thumbs down and go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, when things wrap up here on Thursday nights, that's not the end of the fun, because tomorrow morning and just about every Friday morning, you can take your happy ass over to Spreaker.com/SlowBake and contemplate and catch that gentleman right over there and his hetero life mate cashed out behind him in their punchy kicky podcast about all things life and fun. Their social media link to their podcast and their goodies, as well as the link to their very own channel on the I'm No Joe Discord server, so you can chat directly with them, are all right down there in the doobly-doo. Thank you for your time this evening, Joe.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. And as always, it doesn't fucking stop there, man. Wednesday fucking nights. Make sure you tune it in to the Golf Tee Vapes fucking YouTube channel around 9 o'clock, 9:30 Wednesday. Every fucking Wednesday. You get to tune in, watch some fucking vape recipes, some mixes. Brothers talk about some fun shit, chill. It's always a good fucking time. Make sure you tune in, show the brothers some fucking love. Once again, Golf Tee fucking Vapes on YouTube. Oh yeah, there's one of the mixes right there.
That would have been yesterday's, just as this was. Thank you, sir. Now, if you guys didn't know, Punchy Kicky Meter does more than Punchy Kicky Meter. In fact, the meter does do many things. So if you go down below, click on Linktree / the meter does many things. That will take you to all the places that the meter does all of his many things. Again, that's Linktree / the meter does many things to go find all of the many things that the meter does do outside of Punchy Kicking Meter.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that, sir. Much appreciated. That being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode. Like I said earlier, if you are not in the Tapology group yet, get your ass over there. Join that Tapology group. If you want in our upcoming season, let us know. Post a comment somewhere, here, there, audio on Tapology somewhere. Let us know. This shit was fun. We did a trial run within the group. It's good times. We're going to do a whole fucking group run open for this upcoming season 9 in just a couple of weeks. That being said, that's all we've got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless it's Dana White going 1 week without promoting fucking Power Slap.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.